Hey guys, I'm Aleister,
And I'm Alseia.
and this is the Absurdium podcast.
Welcome, welcome. This is our 4th episode, right?
Big number 4.
Did you know in some Asian cultures, number 4 is considered like a curse because it's pronounced the same way as death.
Interesting. Huh. Well, that explains the last 5 minutes then.
We had some minor brain and technical difficulties.
Primarily brain.
Not
Yeah.
me. Don't look at me. It's all Aleister.
Yeah, the technology's been working fine. So it's all Elseia's fault.
I cursed.
No, it's not. It's my fault. It's your fault for knowing that 4 is cursed.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think that's how that works, right?
Oh.
I had no idea. So.
Suddenly I cursed our episode. Maybe
All right.
we should talk about curses and like little morbid things instead of our topic for today.
I'm sure we can weasel some in there.
I don't think I want to.
Yeah, well, it was your idea.
No. Okay, what are we talking today about?
Today we are going to talk about the mysteries and the wonders of the ocean.
Ooh, the subject as deep as the ocean itself.
Wow, that was terrible. I'm sorry. I have no control over what she says.
I had coffee like an hour before recording this episode, so I feel like I'm bouncing off the walls. I don't know what's happening. If I'm behaving a little unhinged today, it's because of coffee.
Y'all are in for an excellent time here.
Do not overpromise things, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it will wear down like mid-episode, and it's gonna just crumble everyone's expectation afterwards.
It could. We'll see.
Well, anyways,
starting into the topics here, I guess I have just a couple maybe lesser known, maybe common facts of the ocean.
First of all, how many oceans are there? And like, what is the ocean?
How many oceans are there? You know,
There are
I
5.
didn't even think to look at that.
I did. There are 5 oceans, which is
Glad one of us was thinking.
it's a theme today, apparently.
Yeah.
But there are 5 oceans: Pacific, Atlantic, Indian, Arctic, and Southern, which is considered. Wait, is it Arctic the Southern and or?
Pacific, Atlantic.
So there's the North. So there's Pacific, Atlantic, Indian, the northern one, and then the southern one.
Right.
So the North is considered Antarctic,
I think so.
right? So Antarctic Ocean, and then Southern Ocean, which is
The Arctic Ocean.
the Arctic Ocean. Yes.
Right.
God damn it. Both words are so close
Mm-hmm.
in pronunciation that I struggle with both
But-
of them.
What about the Pacific Ocean?
What do you mean?
Never heard that joke?
No.
Some people mispronounce Pacific Ocean, the Specific Ocean.
Well, that is kind of sad,
Mm-hmm. But funny.
but funny.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I always wanted to visit the Specific
one
Ocean.
one of those dad jokes that you like tortured me with. Oh my god!
That
I
I
cannot
tortured
even-
you with? I had one.
Listen, that was almost torturous. Okay,
It was not that bad.
what did you say? What is considered a dad joke?
When is a joke considered a dad joke?
Yeah, and I said why? When?
When it becomes apparent.
Oh my god! See, this is what I mean. A torture. Well, I'm being dramatic.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, please, yes, there are 5
Yeah.
oceans.
There are 5 oceans, and the Pacific Ocean is not one of them.
Oh my god. I got it. We got it. People, there are no specific, only Pacific. Okay? Pacific is the California side. Atlantic is the Florida side.
Is that right? I've always had trouble remembering that, mostly because it doesn't really affect me, I guess. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, if it was important, you'd probably memorize it right away. Not that it's not important, but it's not important in my day-to-day life. So.
And I just know not random, just facts of knowledge
True.
that I sometimes pride myself on.
Sometimes.
I don't think too deeply about it.
Not as deep as the ocean.
Oh
anyways.
my god. Okay, continue, please.
So, anyways, as I was saying, I have assembled a list of hopefully lesser known facts about the ocean. Like, for example, did you know that the ocean's currents affect the climate of the Earth? That's probably a well known fact, to be fair.
Yes, I did know that, but I don't know the details about it. But
Right.
that's why the melting of the icebergs is so dangerous, because it affects the currents.
Mm-hmm.
Because all the massive melts actually kind of interfere with
Right.
the usual current, which thus changes
Mhm.
everything.
I think they interfere with more than just the currents, too. They,
Ecosystems and
yeah,
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 a lot
at
of
a
that parts as well.
at like a large view, but it's like they'll even mess with the pH levels of the ocean because
Yep.
it's fresh water
Yep.
going in.
Mm-hmm.
So that wreaks havoc on ecosystems on its own.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, yes, the Earth's climate is influenced by all the water on the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
Makes sense when you think about it.
Well, also I read that ocean is actually like controls the heat and
Mhm.
how the weather and temperature is,
Right.
because it kind of absorbs a lot of light and a lot of heat radiation
Mhm.
in it, so we don't overheat.
Yeah, water is very good at both absorbing and spreading
Yeah.
thermal energy.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, we do have more on that later. I'm going to keep rolling down the list of facts here, though. Did you know that there is enough salt in the ocean to cover the entire surface of the planet?
I had no idea, but wow, it
Mhm.
sort of makes sense, I suppose.
There's more ocean than there is land. So,
Well, that yeah.
I
If you
mean,
think from that perspective.
even from a surface area perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you think about depth as well, like, kind
Did
of.
you know a random fact not related to ocean was, well, maybe a little bit, like just like sure, that there are more stars in the galaxy than sand particles,
Yep.
which blew my mind when I read the fact.
Yeah, that was a fun one. I don't remember where I read that, but it is.
Just a random
Yeah.
fact that you learn.
Yeah.
As I said, it's loosely related to the ocean because, sand is usually on the beach.
Right. Yep. But sand isn't infinite, whereas stars are. So,
Are they though?
well, the universe is expanding still.
Yeah.
So, in a way, I mean,
It's interesting. We already, didn't we have a conversation about space yet? No, we did not.
we've probably
Ooh.
touched on it a couple times.
Ooh,
Future
it will be
topic.
at some point. We'll be talking about space
Mhm.
because
I
we
love
love
space.
talking about space and like astrophysics
But mm-hmm.
and all the related subjects. But it's interesting that universe is considered infinite, yet it's still expanding. So how something infinite can continue expanding,
Right.
right? Isn't
Yeah.
it like a mind twister in a
It
sense?
is. Yeah. I think it's more so that it's theoretically infinite, but obviously if it stops expanding, then that theory is false.
I don't know.
I
Well,
guess.
it will be discussed in a later episode when we'll actually touch on subjects of space. But right now, we're a little bit more grounded, or
We're swimming in
a
information.
little bit swimming. Yeah, quite literally. Actually, we have a lot of information.
Yeah. I'll have to finish reading that Stephen Hawking book before we get to space.
You can listen to it too.
Yeah, but I have it right over there.
Yeah, I know, but I lend it too. I
Yeah.
know you have it,
Right.
but you listen to it. I know it's a little bit of a tough read in terms of concentration.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
I'll have to do it.
anyways, I'm
Yes.
interrupting you.
I know we like our tangents, but it's a bit early for it.
It's never too early for a tangent.
All right. In this one, I think you touched on this earlier when we were just chatting about this, but did you know that 10% only of the ocean has been mapped?
Yeah, 10 or
10%.
I thought it's 20.
Only 10. What I've got here says only
Is
10.
it 10% mapped or 10% explored?
10% mapped.
I read in Wikipedia, which is a totally trustworthy source, that it's 20, but it was vague. So maybe we can say from 10 to 20% mapped. Maybe the information was updated.
Fair enough.
I don't know. Do not cite me on that.
Mine I got from the U.S. Geological Survey website.
Okay, I trust you better.
So-
I trust you more than Wikipedia. Let's go with 15.
That's a fair assumption. Yeah.
Since both numbers are vague
Mhm.
and like not provable, maybe, I don't know. I'm sure it's provable. but we didn't look too deeply into the articles and scientific journals and documents to be very specific. So I think we can all agree that 10 to 20% mapped is close enough. It's like fine. It won't change our day-to-day life, but if anyone wants a specific, I'm sure you're very powerful in a skill of googling things, as majority of people are. Yes. Hopefully, maybe not. That's fine too. But
you could even just tell us how much of the Pacific Ocean has been mapped, and then leave it at that.
Yeah, that would be wonderful if you actually leave a comment and tell us. If you know specific information, we'll always gladly learn more.
You didn't catch my specific ocean joke there at all, did you?
Nope.
That's gonna be the last one. That one's getting old.
It went right over my head. Just like tsunami. Just like.
All right. Anyways, moving on. Do you know what the deepest point of the ocean is? Like how deep the deepest point is and where?
Yes, I do know that actually because I researched it. we did our separate research. So both of us have similar facts and some different facts. So we did the research on the same topic, obviously. So we crossed the same information. So the deepest part of the ocean is named Mariana Trench. It's about 10,000 meters, which is 10 kilometers, and about 30,000 feet deep, I think.
36,000.
36,000 feet deep, which is what?
It's very deep.
It's someplace in the Pacific or Atlantic. I don't know. I don't remember now.
It is, I believe.
I've saved it in my notes.
Yeah, if you know where Guam is, it's near the.
It's the Pacific Ocean.
Yeah.
In the Pacific Ocean, near northern Mariana Islands.
Yep, which is near Guam. Which is, I believe, between like Hawaii and Japan or something like that. Vaguely.
I think so. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, so basically that's the deepest part. And there, I think in I don't even remember the date, but it was actually, the scientists were able to send 2 people to the deepest part. I don't know if they survived, but I know that they went down, and I'm pretty sure they went up as well.
Yeah, I would assume they survived. I probably have that later on in my notes here.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think it's Don Walsh and...
I didn't catch the names, but I remember reading that there were 2 people, and like in the 1900s.
Don Walsh and Jacques? I'm terrible with names. French. Jacques Picard in January of 1960.
1960. I thought 1957 for some reason, but 1960 also makes sense. So yeah, they went down to the deepest part that we know of.
I think we know the deepest at this point. So we have our modern equipment now has been able to map the deepest part. So we've been able to confirm within, I think, 100 meters.
Well, we don't know if they went to the deepest part.
True, we don't.
We don't know at which part of Mariana Trench they actually went. But still impressive. It doesn't matter. Anything under 4 kilometers, which is an average depth of the ocean, by the way, if no one knew, it's already impressive that anyone would be brave enough, and it was possible to go anything under that much water. Because I feel like people don't realize how heavy the water is.
Right, the amount of pressure.
The amount of pressure that is under water is insane.
And it exponentially increases as you get deeper.
Yeah. I think people cannot survive past like what? 50? 100?
Like we're talking unprotected free swimming?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know specifically. I know under a certain depth you actually have to be careful how quickly you come up.
That is also true, yep.
Yeah.
Because like the balance of air and pressure in your body can like literally kill you if you go up too quickly.
Yeah, which is terrifying. That sounds like a horrible way to go.
I know.
So
I'm not afraid of swimming, but I'm sure terrified of being too deep in the water.
Right, yeah.
Even like just, I don't know, 100 feet away from the beach. It's terrifying.
Yeah, I've actually had panic attacks when I was in the ocean and couldn't like touch the floor anymore. So I had to get carried back on a surfboard.
Yeah. And just like think about being stranded in the middle of the ocean.
That's what I was
Like
thinking about.
4 kilometers down, and you don't know what's in the depths of it.
Yeah,
Like what? Like terrifying.
it's wild. To be fair, in my defense, when I had the panic attack, I had a snorkel on, and it wasn't sealing properly, and I was breathing in salt water.
Salt water,
So
yeah.
it's not like I just lost it. It
Well, I
was-
don't think you have to defend your panic attack.
I would like to, though, for my own dignity.
Okay. I feel like panic attacks are, I won't say, I'm not sure if they're normal or not, but being afraid of something like is normal.
Yeah,
So,
especially the ocean.
especially the ocean.
It
It's
is
very
terrifying.
scary.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and especially going down that deep in the ocean in the 1960s.
I know. Like,
Like-
what?
I'd be afraid to do that in a modern submarine.
But then, modern submarine, remember?
Well, a
The
professionally
case?
built modern
Okay,
submarine.
yeah, we're not talking about the millionaire case.
Yeah, not one
that-
driven by a $20 gamepad you buy at Best Buy.
Okay, we're not going to touch upon that subject. It's a touchy subject.
Yes, I have nothing nice to say. So
But
I
then
will say
again,
nothing.
in the late 90s, people went to the moon. That's also crazy to me.
The late 60s.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Also, so many discoveries done in the 60s.
Yeah, we really liked to adventure back then.
Yeah, I don't think we do it as much anymore.
No, I don't think we do.
No, I'm sure we do. It's just they're not first steps
Right,
into
yeah.
like the ocean or the moon, or the Mars for that matter, because people already been to Mars, or at least the machines were for
Right.
sure.
Yeah. Back in space, because we keep going back to space for some reason. I believe I read that we do actually have another manned moon mission planned.
Interesting.
And it's like an international team that NASA is going to be sending up in like the late 2020s, early 2030s.
Fun.
So,
I mean, we talked about it before, but between being stranded in the ocean and being stranded in the like cosmos, I would be rather stranded in the cosmos.
yeah. Yeah, you're fairly certain nothing weird and creepy is going to sneak up on you at least.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Plus, I think as morbid as it sounds, you'd die faster in space than you would in the water.
Well, I don't know. Cause like,
I mean,
let's say you have, you will suffocate,
true,
which
but
is painful.
suffocating in space is different than suffocating in water, though.
Oh, absolutely.
Suffocating in space, it's a buildup of carbon monoxide as you breathe out, and it'll kind of just slowly put you to sleep. So you don't really suffer in a way. By the time
Or-
it's bad enough for you to be suffocating, you're not conscious anymore.
This is morbid.
is.
Let's go back to ocean. We will talk about space later. Why are we going back to space topic? It's ocean.
They're so similar, though.
No, they're not. Well, in a sense.
They aren't, but they are. You
Okay.
know.
Ocean.
Ocean. Did you know that we have no idea how many unique species there are in the ocean?
I can totally believe that. I think they say that scientific number of species is around 230,000, but it can be way over 2 million.
Right. The amount we know is around 230,000.
Yeah, but like how many? It can be over millions, and we won't even know right now.
Right.
Later in the future.
Yeah, and the
possibly, but
ones
not
we
right now.
do know about are already weird enough sometimes.
Oof, yeah.
So
yeah.
who knows what we haven't found?
But also, I feel like with the climate change and icebergs melting and everything, I feel like some species will die out, and we won't even know about it.
Right, which is sad.
Yeah, it is. Because as you say, pH level is changing because of that, and then ecosystems. And I know from salt. You know how people keep saltwater fish, right? It's a very, very precise thing you need to
Right.
control. Like
Yeah, it
those
needs to be
fish are
perfect.
very fragile to water. You need to have a specific salt and pH level, or they will get sick and die.
Yeah, they are very accustomed to how they like things.
Yeah, yeah.
And do not like it different.
Imagine like if a large a large amount of fresh water messes up with pH and salinity of the water. I can see like some species dying out.
Right, for sure.
I mean, native to that particular regions, for example.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
Right.
that's also sad. So we will never know what already died out.
Right. Yeah. Who knows?
Yeah, especially like knowing that in ocean a lot of things get dissolved.
Mm-hmm.
Just
Right. Yeah. It's they don't really leave remains like they do above ground.
well, I suppose it does, but at the same time, it needs to be very specific kind of materials. Like we obviously have like shipwrecks and structures there, right? And maybe I don't think they have any carcasses. I think
Right.
that gets dissolved pretty quickly. But certain like
Especially something like a jellyfish that doesn't really have like a skeleton.
yeah, but I also
So.
don't think skeletons really stay there for too long.
Right.
That's why like there I don't think there were any dead bodies found from the Titanic when it was actually discovered.
Right.
So I feel like they've been eaten by fish and sea creatures, or they just dissolved into.
The salt will eat away at them and corrode them. So salt is very corrosive.
I've heard or read someplace that a person, if they stay in water for more than 3 days, their skin will start peeling
That doesn't
off.
surprise me.
So like the acidity will just start peeling your skin off.
Jeez, that's crazy.
If you're like in the water.
Right. Jeez.
Terrifying, right?
Yeah, just making me want to go to the ocean less and less.
I mean, I love the ocean. I love swimming in the ocean. The waves, and it's peaceful. When you're like on the beach.
Right, yeah. Yeah, being on the beach is fine, but like being in the ocean.
Which is interesting. Me and my mom were talking about thinking going on a 9-month cruise around the world.
Yeah.
That's being in the ocean. And
Yeah.
it's like from Americas to Hawaii, which is a long. And from Europe to the Americas again.
Wow.
Did you know that there is official route from New York to London that Titanic took? And there's like that Titanic route.
That seems like it would be a good idea to follow.
Well, there are no icebergs on the way anymore.
Suppose.
So,
right.
As we remember, Titanic failed because of the iceberg.
And because they didn't see it. Too.
Yeah.
Like they could have.
But now there are no icebergs to begin with because the water is too warm.
Right.
So there's nothing to really hit.
I suppose.
Unless you're crap at navigating and
Right.
controlling the boat, which I hope you're not.
I mean, at that point, the computer will do it for you nowadays. So.
That's true.
Yeah. Right, so I have one more fun fact.
Okay, please do tell.
Do you know how much water there is in the ocean?
Water?
Yes. Just how much water?
No, I just know that it's covers 66% of the Earth, but I don't know how much water it is.
Fair enough. It is, from what I was able to find, there is 1.338 billion cubic kilometers of water. Which I know that's like an unfathomable number. Like, what does that even mean, right?
I was just gonna say, I'm like, I don't know how much is cubic, like how much water in the cup for
Right.
12, 14 ounces,
Right.
which is not even a cubic meter.
Yeah. I mean, it translates to roughly 1.338 septillion liters. If
That
helps.
also doesn't tell me
Yeah.
anything.
The numbers are just so vast. It's really pointless.
Yeah. Well, we know that there are more water than there is land.
Yeah. So.
That's period. So there is by proxy more water. Because first of all, it's much deeper
Right.
and it's just larger.
Yeah. Take the land, layer it 100,000 times, and you have the ocean. Yeah.
Even the Mariana Trench is deeper than any tallest mountain. So
By
basically, you can submerge anything there and it will go down.
by like a wide margin.
Yeah, and you can like stack tallest things onto each other and it's still gonna cover. Like, you can bury everything in there.
Yeah, because Everest is what, like 7,000 feet? That's a very rough estimate, but it's like 7,000-ish.
That's like only like 1/5.
You could fit 5 Mount Everests in the Mariana Trench. That's insane.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Did you know that Earth is actually the only planet that has both aquatic, land solid, and gas masses
Interesting.
in one planet?
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Huh.
Isn't it interesting? Like Mars doesn't have any water, no aquatic life or nothing of that sort. So it's just gas and land.
Right.
Like I think Venus is mostly gas.
But there's presumably a core somewhere, but yeah, I guess you wouldn't really call that land.
No.
So, yeah. Huh.
And then I think what was it? Pluto? No. There's one planet that has just ice,
Mm-hmm.
but that's a solid,
Right.
not aquatic, unless it's melt. But it's too cold because it's too far from the sun.
Right. I feel like, isn't that one of Jupiter's moons? Isn't like Europa or something where it's ice and then there's water really deep underneath?
I don't know.
Huh.
I thought it was a planet, but maybe it's one of the moons. There's
Yeah.
so many. Jupiter has so many moons.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That could almost be its entire episode on its own.
About Jupiter?
Mm-hmm.
No, I think we'll just stack it on
Yeah.
top of the.
Yeah, that'll be part of space.
I don't know if we can stretch a whole hour conversation about Jupiter.
Yeah, that would be stretching it a little bit.
A little too much, in my opinion. But anyways.
Right. So what do you have to talk about?
Oh yeah. So basically, you talked about all the facts. Let me double check if I have any specific ones. Well, actually, it's interesting because while I was reading about the ocean, I was like, well, what is the difference between the ocean and the sea?
Right.
Because sea is also a body of salt water, and it majority of the time it actually flows into the ocean, like it's part of the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
But apparently, sea is a body of water partly or fully enclosed by land. The word sea can also be used for many specific, much smaller bodies of seawater, such as the North Sea or Red Sea.
Interesting.
Yeah. There's no sharp distinction between seas and oceans, though generally seas are smaller and are often partially or wholly bordered by land, which I already mentioned.
Right.
So basically, like, there is I forgot the sea name, to be honest. I'm not the best with bodies of water. Well, I know there is Black Sea, which is fully enclosed by water,
Mm-hmm.
and there's Red Sea, which I think is also fully enclosed by water.
Right.
Caspian Sea is, I think, partly enclosed by water. There's also Baltic Sea.
By land, you mean?
Oh yeah, by land. What did I say?
Enclosed by water.
Ah.
Water enclosed by water.
Water by water. Oh my gosh.
Do you guys know that water isn't wet?
By land. Sorry. There's too much water. Okay. Oh my god. So we already talked about the deepest part. It's just interesting that so we know that, like, at the deepest part of the ocean you cannot see light. Light doesn't reach it.
Right.
But I did not know that only 1% of surface light gets down to like 200 meter.
Right. That seems like a very short distance for it to be cut off.
Yeah, but it's water, so like the particles obstruct
Mm-hmm.
the so what I read is that why actually water and ocean has blue color is because ocean absorbs a lot of red light,
Mm-hmm.
and since it absorbs a red light, it only reflects the blue light.
Interesting.
And the color also depends on the algae and other ecosystems, and
Right.
like the depth of the ocean as well,
Makes sense.
and like pH levels and all the other
Right. A lot goes into
natural
it. Yeah.
related things. But generally it's the light bounces off the water, and since the sky is generally blue, the sky itself gives that blue tinge, so water basically reflects the color of the sky,
Right.
whatever it is at the moment, like
it's just a
gray
big
or
mirror,
blue. Yeah, but
in a
also
way.
it itself like absorbs red light and
Right.
bounces back the blue light. So that's why it has like an interesting tinge to it.
Interesting. So absorb infrared too then?
I'm not sure about that. It just
Huh.
said red light. I don't know what that means specifically.
Yeah, fair.
If anyone knows, please let us know. Educate us.
Mm-hmm.
I always love collecting like facts.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. That might not help me in real in like everyday life, but I just still like it.
Hey, learning is wonderful.
Exactly. Right?
So, yeah.
But yeah, I mostly did a lot of research on like myths and legends and mysterious structures and discoveries in the ocean.
Sounds about right.
I mostly wanted to concentrate on the ones that were somewhat scientifically explained, because we all know about like sirens and mermaids and Leviathan. That was, I don't know if I pronounced that, so if I did not,
Leviathan.
Leviathan. Yes,
I like the way you pronounced it better, to be honest.
Really?
Yeah, it
It's
sounds
like
cool.
it's like dandelions instead of dandelions.
Yeah, I like that better too. It's just cool sounding.
You know the rubric of Reddit and Instagram, like, what word did you mispronounce that haunts you forever? Like like dandelion is one of them, because I had no idea that it's dandelion, and I would say dandelion, like, do you mean dandelion? And I would always say that I like my pronunciation better. Dandelion sounds so much pleasant.
It does.
Right? It's kind of cute and sweet.
Yeah. I think it's actually the name of a character in The Witcher. I don't know if you've ever heard of The Witcher.
Yeah, I know about The Witcher.
Yeah.
Was it written by Polish author?
I think so, yeah.
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 It's a book. I know it's original. The original is the books, and then it was converted into
games
and then the
TV
like
series.
movie, or like very, very early or late in time. Wait, early, late? There was a very old TV series that wasn't very popular or famous because of the quality of it.
Was there?
Yep, or a movie.
I had no idea.
Surprising that I did research on Witcher and you did not.
Yeah, that is a little odd.
Right? And I have never played or watched anything of that sort.
And
Of
again,
Witcher specifically.
You are a fan of Henry Cavill, though. So.
Listen, that man.
I'm a fan of Henry Cavill.
So gorgeous. We can probably all agree, right? He's very conventionally attractive.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, I read a little bit about it, which is weird. Why would I? I didn't really care about it, but I think I was curious who actually wrote it.
Right. Yeah.
That's why I did really the research. And of course, we all know the show The Witcher on Netflix with Henry Cavill.
Yep.
Gorgeous.
But yeah,
man.
Dandelion was a character in that, as far as I'm aware.
Oh, interesting. But what was I talking about? Yeah, we all know about sirens, mermaids, Leviathan, which is in Bible. It was some evil creature, that serpent-like aquatic creature, ocean monster that lived in the ocean. And other things, they're not really explained by science or have anything. Well, actually, mermaids were explained that maybe some drunk sailors would see mantis. I think it was mantis.
Mantis?
Well, there's a sea animal that needs to come up and breathe every 20 minutes, and it has that very graceful tail. So maybe they would see that in the dark, in a dim lit.
I could see that.
Boat. Actually, about illusions and stuff, there is the legend or myth about the Flying Dutchman, the ship, the Flying Dutchman. So basically, the story states that back in the olden days, I think 1500s or 1100s or something,
Sounds right.
There was a merchant ship from East Indian Company.
East Indian Trading Company?
East Indian Trading Company, yes. They were returning back, and the captain was rushing to get back to Amsterdam because apparently the deal went very well, and so he just wanted to go back and sell them and make money as soon as possible. And so he said that it doesn't matter, like, we are gonna sail until the doomsday, but we have to go back. And so those words were heard by the devil, angels, whatever mythical entity you want to believe in that story, and they they perished. The whole ship went down, and the crew and the captain passed away, and so the entity heard them and made them sail for eternity, hunting the oceans.
I wasn't aware that was the origin of that.
Yep. And so I think that superstition and that myth haunted sailors up until like 20th century.
Wow, that's crazy.
But scientists believe that it's most likely that mirage illusion that the sea gives you.
Right.
You know, when you see something. And I think it has to be very specific weather and environmental conditions to kind of trigger that mirage. You know, it's like
Right.
in the desert
Yep.
when like the sand is so heated, it reflects that.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you even get that on hot roadways in the middle of the
Exactly,
day.
but
So,
in the desert you can actually see like the mirages of the oases and like
right.
land greenery and stuff. So I think the scientists believe that's what the sailors would see. They would
Mm-hmm.
see the mirage that was like the reflections of the ocean and maybe something dim in like the horizon and stuff like that.
Right.
But sailors would believe that the that seeing the Flying Dutchman would bring some losses and cataclysms and some bad luck.
Which would kind of make sense if there's like a.
If I was thinking about the same thing. If it's specific weather conditions, it would make sense. Maybe it was like a premonition of a storm or something.
Right. Yeah. I mean, if it's anything like the desert and it has to be really hot for it to happen, like warm fronts, they'd cause a lot of bad weather. So
Basically, it's probably a combination of weather. You see the mirage, which indicates that there's going to be some weather condition that will make the travel harder and sink boats.
Makes sense.
So interesting, right?
Mm-hmm. Very intriguing.
Yeah. And then there's also, of course, we all know about the mythical creature kraken, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or like
Release
the giant
kraken.
squid. So basically, I think it was first noted by Norwegian king Sverre Sigurdsson in 1180 CE.
Wow.
So very, very long time ago.
Very long time ago.
And it was described as a crab-like sea monster with either tentacles or arms that could reach up to the tompasts of sailing ships, and its gigantic body was sometimes mistaken for an island.
Interesting.
So it was believed that it would crush the boats and like eat the sailors.
Mm-hmm.
But then it kind of morphed into like gigantic octopus or squid-like creature instead of a crab-like creature.
Right.
And it's actually why it's scientific, because there was a discovery of a specific monster. I think it's a specific squid, I think, that was confirmed by Japanese scientists and photographed in 2004. And they captured it and brought it to land, and females of that species could grow up to an enormous size of 50 feet.
50 feet?
50 feet.
That's like 2 school buses? No.
I don't know.
Maybe.
I'm not sure. And then the males are just short, around 32 feet. Still like gigantic,
Yeah,
okay?
that's
Like
huge.
really, really big. So scientists have discovered many interesting facts about them, that the giant squid have like eight tentacles and 2 arms, with like how it was described in the legends. 2 arms that, like, octopus tentacles would have the suckers all over, but then the 2 arms would have suckers only at the end of it. And that's what that squid would have.
That's kind of creepy.
And it had like a parrot beak where it would bring the food up.
Huh.
And interesting, I think they said that their eyes are like 60 or 24 meters in diameter, or 60 meters in diameter. Like
That
really,
can't
really
be
big.
true.
No, that's true. Or
Well, so if the squid is 50 feet,
yeah, that's
the
true,
eye
60
can't be 24 meters.
Like it was a very large eye. I'm probably butchering the numbers. It's
Right. Maybe the squid is 50 meters.
Let me confirm and tell. I didn't say that point specific. I just remember it.
Right.
So I will tell you exactly.
I could kind of see that being the case, them attacking boats, though, because like
10 inches
10 inches?
in circumference. Yep.
Okay, right on.
And so basically they could see in the dark depths of the ocean.
Right.
And interestingly enough, they could like move very quickly by propelling themselves forward through sucking in water and releasing it through a rear funnel.
Interesting.
So they could move very quickly.
It's like an actual form of biological propulsion.
Yep.
Interesting. That's very neat.
Right?
Yeah.
And so that's what probably the sailors would see, that gigantic squid, because it's really gigantic.
Right,
50
yeah.
feet long.
Right.
And it's practically as described. I don't know if it would necessarily crush ships. I don't see why it would do that. But again, maybe wanted to eat
I mean,
humans.
we have modern accounts, like very recently actually, of whales attacking ships. I forget the exact reasoning, but it was like last year sometime. There were a bunch of ships, like commercial vessels and whatnot, being attacked by whales
Hmm.
in somewhere in some European seas, I think, maybe.
Really?
Yeah, I
That's
remember the
interesting.
headlines. Yeah, it's.
But I know that they don't attack for food
Mm-hmm.
because humans are not part of their diet.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
I think it was something to do with the like noise pollution that the boats were creating underwater, because
yeah,
some large fish, they use
echolocation,
echolocation. Yeah,
like dolphins.
yeah. So if these trawlers are coming through and making a bunch of noise, it might be disrupting the whales' sleep schedules. It might just be pissing them off. Who
Well, that
knows?
makes sense. I mean, if
Yeah.
someone is constantly buzzing over my, it's like a mosquito, right?
Mm-hmm.
If a mosquito always buzzing in like right by your
Right.
ear at night, you want to like squish it.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is we have already a history of aquatic life attacking vessels in the
Yeah,
sea.
maybe
So
at that time when the monster, the sea creature, was first recorded, ships were not as common.
right. Yeah.
I mean, kraken is mostly noted in Nordic Sea
Mm-hmm.
and like in that more colder weather. Maybe they migrated.
Right.
Maybe I don't know. It was way too long ago, like
Yeah.
1180 CE.
They were some of the earlier ones to do any kind of actual sailing in the sea too, the Nordic people, I believe, right?
I don't know where they
Huh.
were going, or it doesn't really. It's
Yeah,
not. It was not mentioned in the article. It just
that's
said that the
fair.
first record was by the king,
Hmm.
the
Interesting.
Norwegian king,
Right.
Sverre Sigurdsson. I don't know if I pronounced that right. So
Hmm.
if someone wants to correct me, please do.
Hmm.
And then, like, there are actually true sea monsters too. They're not just the size that we expect the sea monsters to be,
Right.
but they're genuinely like scary creatures, like scary looking creatures
Mm-hmm.
that deep down in the ocean, but also like sharks, for example. But
Mm-hmm.
there are monsters
Right,
too, right?
especially a great white. Obviously, Jaws, the movie, exaggerates the size a little bit, but they
Well,
get
actually,
big.
it doesn't.
It doesn't.
Nope. Well,
It exaggerates the aggressiveness,
well,
maybe.
I think it exaggerates the time frame that it existed
Mm.
because there were fossils and proof that there was megalodon,
Right.
and that is gigantic shark.
Mm-hmm. I forgot about the megalodon.
Yep, Meg,
Mm-hmm.
the movie Meg. I
Right.
haven't seen it, but I mean it's on Netflix right now. But yeah, and so one of the terrifying creatures that lived a long time ago that fossils of was discovered was monster with powerful jaws resembling a serpent cross crocodile, discovered in 2009 with a head measured over 6 feet.
I think I remember reading about that
It
back when it
belonged
happened.
to the dinosaur era and it's called Pliosaurus.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember seeing like a artist mock-up of that even.
Mm-hmm.
That looked terrifying.
Yeah. So, and then if we think about all the poisonous jellyfish, for example, the most common one is Portuguese waraman.
Mm-hmm.
Even like one sting of it will like kill you almost instantly because it paralyzes your muscles and your
Right.
heart.
Yikes.
So even if you don't die on spot, you will drown because your muscles are paralyzed.
Mm-hmm. That's terrifying.
So it's pretty, and they're oftentimes found around Australia.
Mhm.
Another reason why I would not swim in
Yeah.
Australia.
I-
It's terrifying.
Everything in Australia wants to kill you. It's
Don't don't
it's
don't
like
put them.
choosing to start the game on the hardest difficulty.
That's why people in Australia are badass.
Mm-hmm.
Props to you people who live in Australia. Like living among snakes, spiders, and other
Mm-hmm.
really large, creepy creatures, and like having poisonous jellyfish swimming
Right.
around the island is
Yeah.
just wow.
Like we're afraid of centipedes, whereas an
Listen,
Australian will
they're
have a
gross.
boxing match with a kangaroo.
And you don't even 100% sure who is gonna win.
Oh no, I've seen Australian men win. I mean, obviously it's not like it take the thing down, but I don't know if you ever saw. It was probably 10 years ago. This video circulated of a kangaroo attacking some guy's dog down there,
No,
and the guy comes up and just squares up with the thing and just socks it in the nose.
I
And
feel
then it
like
just
the punches like arm punches from a kangaroo are less powerful as the back kick.
Right. Yeah. If you get
Like
kicked,
if
you're
you
done for.
get back kicked by the
Yeah.
legs, that's what's truly dangerous. It's like being leg kicked by a horse.
Mm-hmm.
Like it will
Yeah.
injure you
Right.
for sure. Like
Yeah.
it's very traumatic.
Yeah.
So that's on like mythical creatures. Like again, I'm not really gonna talk about like mermaids or sirens or selkies. Actually, do you know selkies?
Nope. never heard
Selkies
of it.
are, I think, Irish
Sounds Irish.
or from that part of the world where it would be what's the animal? Seal. So it's basically would be like the seals that would shed their seal skin and turn to humans. Into
Interesting.
human women. And if you find that their seal skin, you could like take them hostage because they cannot return the ocean until they put the skin back on. So those are selkies.
That's a neat one.
There are more records or more legends about female selkies, but apparently there are male selkies too that come to women who don't have a reason to be on land anymore. And in the legend, you have to shed 7 tears into the ocean, and then a male selkie will come. Apparently, they have like super seductive power that no mortal woman can resist.
As is tradition for that kind of legend.
Yeah, so basically they're aquatic incubus.
Pretty much.
I mean,
Yeah. You're not wrong.
so yeah, that's. But I mean, there's also Loch Ness, which was proven to be, just a faux monster. There are many scientists who proved that it's not possible. Which I actually heard a theory that there's like a portal opening every now and then where the like unassuming monster just kind of like crosses. I mean, I don't think they cross it on purpose, and then they get spotted, and then they go back again unassuming. Because I mean, I don't know what their level of sentience would be, but let's say they don't have very high sentience, and then the portal will close, and that's why scientists would never found anything on the bottom of the lake.
That's a fun theory.
Yeah. I don't know obviously I don't know if it's true, but it's fun to dwell on it.
Yeah.
But apparently, even though all the scientists disputed the theory of the Loch Ness monster, there's still a lot of people who believe in it. Like, it still has a very large fan base.
I mean, it's one of the most famous urban legends. I don't know if I'd call it an urban legend, I guess, to be fair, but one of the most famous legends around. So.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
Yeah.
Also, there's a lot of I only found like very common or famous, civilization or structure or monuments that were found in the ocean. But basically, there's obviously the most famous Atlantis, which was first, and I think last historical documentation was done by Plato. And he believed that, I don't know if he believed, but there is a record that he mentioned Atlantis in one of his writings.
Right.
And he said that civilization existed and fell 9,000 years before his life.
Jeez.
So that was a while back.
Yeah.
So we don't know. Remember that Ice Age was 10,000 years ago? And there are people who believe that there were civilizations, pretty advanced civilizations, even before before Ice Age. And there's even an interesting speculative documentary on Netflix, The Ancient Civilizations, I think it's called. Where it discusses the found evidence of it.
Interesting.
Like, I don't remember the details, so you guys go watch it if you're interested about theories like that. But basically there were, I know we're going away from the ocean subject, but it's still very interesting, the theories and like ancient civilizations. I'm fascinated by it. That
it's just fun to think about.
I know. There was a structure, someplace in the world, probably in Asia, I think so, on one of the islands, I believe. I might be wrong, and I'm probably butchering it. So, and the catacombs, it was not a pyramid, but it was something along the lines of ancient structures. It went very deep, and the geological like levels of it didn't make sense.
Hmm.
Like you know how our Earth is layered, and the
Yep.
deeper you go, the older
Right,
the
and that's how you
layers
can
are.
like carbon date things and whatnot.
Yep.
Yeah.
So basically, how the level of how deep the catacombs and like the structure went down, and the um, rocks and formations that was around it did not make sense time wise. It predates the Ice Age,
Interesting.
which makes some scientists or that specific scientists that made the discovery believe that there were civilizations before the Ice Age.
Right.
Which, I mean, we don't know.
Right. Yeah, we have no
We
idea.
have no clue, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that was very interesting, isn't it?
If I ever get a time machine, that might be one of the first places I go.
Well, I don't know. What if it was dangerous? We don't. You see, the problem with time machine,
Mm-hmm.
we don't know how the terrain looked.
Right.
You could end up in the middle of the ocean.
Don't forget to account for Pangea.
Yeah, Pangaea. If you don't know, guys, Pangaea is when all the land was one,
Mm-hmm.
and it divided like thousands and thousands of years ago. But Pangaea is when everything was one lump of land.
Due to the shifting of tectonic plates,
Yeah.
which, interestingly enough,
Down
is
in the ocean.
specifically the Mariana Trench.
Yeah.
So,
Ocean is responsible for a lot of. I feel like people don't know, but there are a lot of volcanic activity happening underwater,
oh, tons.
like eruptions
Mm-hmm.
and movement. A lot of it, and
Yeah.
that's what causes a lot of tsunamis actually, because the tectonic plates kind of hit each other
Yep.
and causing the massive
Mhm.
release of power that creates waves, and then it goes into the land and crashes everything.
Yeah, they'll be like slowly grinding against each other for millennia.
creating those like movement and
build
wave.
up tension, and then it snaps.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So like it's pretty dangerous, and that's
Yeah.
where also a lot of earthquakes come from
Right.
the ocean too.
Yeah, and you got the whole ring of fire around, like, the Pacific, Eastern Pacific, I guess.
I don't actually
Japan, Philippines, that whole area.
know.
I think Hawaii's technically part of it, maybe.
Maybe, I don't know.
A
I'm
very,
not sure.
very distant part of it.
But it's interesting that there is fire underwater. The
Mhm.
lava,
Right?
like when it emerges.
Yeah, it's hot enough that it doesn't just immediately
Yeah.
get extinguished.
Yeah,
So.
which is fascinating, right? You
Mhm.
would think fire cannot exist underwater, but it does
Mhm,
until it
just does.
cools down. I mean,
It's short-lived.
it's short-lived, but it does still exist.
Yeah, when
which
it's
is
hot enough.
fascinating.
Yeah.
Which obviously not human livable. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
you
Yeah.
cannot survive being that deep and in that kind of heat.
Right.
So yeah, Atlantis basically believed to be a fallen civilization, and Plato explained it as utopic,
Mhm.
since like a utopia,
Right.
which utopia is perfect world basically. So perfect conditions, perfect people, perfect world, no nothing wrong with it basically.
Hmm.
The world where nothing is wrong, everything is perfect.
Wouldn't that be nice?
I'm sure I just butchered the definition of utopia, but that's how I understand it. I might be wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Please do correct me if I am.
That's pretty much my
I mean, it's
understanding
pretty
of
much what it is.
it. Yeah.
That's why dystopia is the absolute opposite of it.
Mm-hmm.
And
Right.
that's why there are way more literature on dystopia, like fiction and sci-fi and dystopian societies than utopian. Because like utopia means that everything is perfect, so what would be the subject matter and the
Yeah, it's
conflict of the story
it's hard to write a compelling story. Yeah.
in perfect world?
Yeah.
It would be boring. Like if they're perfect people, perfect world, there's no conflict. And I've read from I don't remember what a famous author that to write a good story, you need to have a conflict of some kind.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It doesn't need to be like literal conflict,
Mm-hmm.
but if you're writing a story, it needs to be a story about something.
Right.
Character development, it's also conflict because it's an internal conflict.
Right. Well, it's part
Conflict
of the whole
nonetheless.
hero's journey template for a story.
Yeah,
deal,
exactly.
so.
It can have literal conflict.
Mm-hmm.
It can have thriller or documentary.
Right.
There's still conflict. There's still
Yeah.
something,
Conflict is just the plot device at that
Yeah.
point.
basically.
Yeah. What if Atlantis is just us finding time machines and going back in time and looking for Atlantis, finding out it's not there, and deciding to make it ourselves?
Then it still would not be utopia.
True. which is why it's not here anymore, because
Exactly.
obviously there was a problem at some point.
Well, how Plato explained it is that he believed that the people of that island, of that civilization, angered the gods.
Mm,
And Greek gods are pretty moody.
right. Quite.
And they, send a tsunami or earthquake and, destroy the civilization. And that's how they perished.
Right. Which could have just been tectonic shifts.
I mean, that's what tsunamis
Yeah.
practically are. But yeah, it was fascinating.
Mhm.
Also, there is, of course, the Bermuda Triangle. We all know about that.
Yeah, everyone's heard of the Bermuda Triangle. Bermuda.
Which interesting. I did not know where it was, but it's a space between Bermuda, Miami, and Puerto Rico.
Right.
That's the triangle. So basically, what the Bermuda Triangle is a lot of lost communication with ships, planes that were never recovered or never found out.
Mm-hmm.
Found.
Right.
So they just disappeared.
Yeah.
But scientists' belief is just a failed machine technology.
Yeah, it's just
Or
radar
genuine
going
mistakes
wrong or-
under severe weather conditions.
right. From my understanding of the Bermuda Triangle, it's mostly just manufactured. Obviously, outrage isn't the word, but manufactured. What would be a good word for that?
I'm not sure what you're trying to say.
Well, it's an artificial conspiracy essentially.
Oh, okay.
So it's like, if I don't know, I remember reading. I don't have any sources for this, obviously, but I remember reading that most of these reports that you've heard about the Bermuda Triangle, they're not any different than anywhere else in the ocean. Like, if you compare the amount of ships or planes that have gone missing there versus anywhere else in the ocean, there's no significant difference.
Maybe just the density of it was more interesting than anything.
It could be, yeah.
Because the area of impact was pretty small,
Mm-hmm.
geographically speaking. I'm not talking
Right.
literally small, but geographically speaking. So maybe the number of accidents definitely is more across the globe, but maybe it was denser in that specific area. I don't know. I didn't read the statistics.
Right.
I was not that interested in the statistics of Bermuda
That's
Triangle.
fair.
It's
Yeah.
just like an urban legend that there are theories that it were UFOs that kidnapped and abducted people.
Mhm.
Kidnap is the wrong word. Abducted people, or some kind of parallel universe, because no remains of boats, planes, or people were ever found.
Right.
So that's, I think, what fueled the mystery aspect of it, because nothing was ever found.
Mm-hmm.
Again, we don't know if nothing was found because we don't know what was, came ashore at some
Right.
point. How would they distinguish one wreckage from the other wreckage?
Right. Or is it even a wreckage? Maybe a ship
Maybe
just gets
just
lost at sea.
Maybe just
Someone says
sunk.
it's missing, then it shows up in some port somewhere 3 weeks later, and nobody's like,
I'm sure
"Hey,
they would
it's not
actually
missing anymore."
I'm sure they would maybe note that, but yeah, definitely.
If I had to guess, if it even is actually a thing,
Mhm.
there's some sort of collection or buildup of magnetic material underneath
Mhm.
in that area that messes with radar or messes with compasses or other
Yeah.
navigation tools.
I'm sure there's plenty of explanations that could be given
Yeah.
to disprove the theories.
Yeah.
But it's still an interesting theory to
Yeah.
think about, that maybe there is something mysterious.
right.
We don't know.
That's why these legends and conspiracies is kind of a negative term, to be fair.
Let's keep it legends,
Yeah.
urban legends.
Yeah, these urban legends, that's why they perpetuate, because they're fun to believe in.
hmm
So,
I mean, we don't even need to know specifics. I mean, to be honest, when I see cruises going through Bermuda, I'm like, I don't really want to go there ever.
Yeah.
It's a little more worrying, but
yeah.
it's so commonplace
Hmm.
that
It's
it's
maybe I don't
silly.
believe in it, but if you could not, that'd be great.
Yeah, right? It's just
Why tempt fate?
why tempt fate? If you can avoid it, just don't.
Mhm.
By the way, talking about cruise, did you know? Did I say it on podcast already, or did we discuss it outside of it? That there is a route for cruises that goes from New York to London. I think I said it over podcast.
I think you did.
I think so.
You said it 20 minutes ago.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
we talked about ocean right before we started recording.
Yeah.
So some things were said
Mm-hmm.
behind, and I'm sure I don't even remember what I said.
I'm pretty sure that was
Okay, but
during,
you already heard it. The audience already heard it.
Mhm.
Anyways, but yeah, cruises are fascinating. Yeah, it was when I was talking about the 9-month around
Right.
the world cruise, which is so exciting.
Mhm.
I think me and my mom agreed that we will start easy and like 1-month cruises
Yeah.
before we graduate to like more than 30 days.
Yeah, you might want to make sure you can stand it
Yeah.
being on the boat that long.
I already went a couple of times, like for more than a couple of days, so it wasn't too bad.
Fair.
I'm pretty easygoing, so I can find entertainment easily.
Right.
Then another thing was in Baltic Sea. I think so. Let me double check. It was actually Baltic Sea. Yes, it was Baltic Sea anomaly. So basically, treasure hunters went diving for treasure hunters.
As they
And
do.
they found 60-meter in diameter circular, not necessarily object, but structure on the bottom of the sea that they took picture of, and they were speculating that it could be man-made.
Huh.
And so they brought a sample of the rock formation of this structure, and scientists said that even though they're not particularly commonplace found there, it's very likely that it was just moved by iceberg.
Interesting.
By melting iceberg. So like, it's not mysterious and it's not like unique materials that would never be found, like sediments. I think there was I don't want to butcher, so I'm not gonna say what. I know there was a granite and lava rock.
Gotcha.
But they said that there is very decent scientific explanation how it could have gotten there, so they don't really think it's any man-made.
Right.
Because
that's fair.
if we think about it, nature creates amazing geometrical things.
Oh, it really does.
In the world. So I don't think ocean is that particularly unique. Maybe it creates uniquely geometrically perfect structures too.
It wouldn't be that surprising.
I mean, if we think about currents and if they go specific way, I can see that forming specific
right
shape of something, of the rock or coral. I don't know.
Especially when you know how much like fractals perpetuate everything in life. Yeah. Like it wouldn't shock me if the currents created a circle.
I don't know.
I'm sure it wasn't even a perfect circle. So
I don't know. I saw a picture. It looked very mysterious, obviously.
Right.
But there can be a scientific explanation. We can run with the mythical one too. I mean, that will be fun. But we can also explain it scientifically. Right. There's also Bimini Road. I needed to make sure that I pronounce it right. It's by the Bahamas. It's basically a road that is visible to the naked eye if you go above, like looking at from with a drone or on a helicopter. You can see the road because it's pretty shallow. I mean, shallow for the ocean wise. Like you still have to like dive in, but you can simply dive in with a snorkeling equipment. You don't have to have professional grade equipment to see the road. And it's very straight. So in that documentary, the ancient civilizations, they actually discussed the Bimini Road, thinking that it was part of the ancient civilization. And it's like, and maybe because water raised over the centuries, over the millennia, it covered the road.
I could see that.
I mean, yeah, water does, rise.
Right, and land sinks too.
And land sinks too. So that road could easily be some kind of ancient structure. Right. That just sunk.
Yeah, it's perfectly believable.
But the point of contention is that where did that road lead?
Right.
Because it went into the ocean, not. So like, where did that? Is it like a very old piers? Pier. Yeah. Pier. Sorry. Piers. Pier. Yeah, right. Pier's a fish on the pier. So yeah, maybe it was old pier or something, but piers were usually made out of wood.
Right, yeah.
So it was easily to reconstruct it.
Interesting.
To accommodate the ships. I don't see how they would make it out of stone, but maybe it made sense of that. I don't know. That's why it's a mystery, right?
Right, yeah.
That's why it's a mystical structure.
Exactly.
But it's interesting.
Yeah.
Then there is Yonaguni Monument in Japan. I know nothing about that one, but it's basically very. It's almost like stairs. It's like a leveled structure.
Interesting.
They also don't know what that is because it has very specific sharp angles, like continuous, almost
Right.
like a stair.
Yeah.
I will pull up the picture for you so you can see.
Right on.
If you're watching the YouTube Yonaguni Monument, please Google it. We won't attach any pictures to the video. And if you're listening, again, you can Google it, I'm sure. And I will, Aleister, I'll show you the picture.
Yeah. We could even throw some links in the description, perhaps.
Yeah, we can do that.
So.
Yonaguni Monument. There it is. It's basically like very interesting. This is basic schematic of it.
Interesting.
So it looks like a big building, like not building, but it's just a very interesting structure, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, this is not entirely unnatural, but kind of unnatural looking.
It looks weird.
Yeah, it's odd.
It basically it looks like
You ever seen a granite quarry?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It just looks like it could have been a building. They're like stair-looking, terrace-looking areas. It just looks very interesting.
Right.
Yonaguni Monument, an underwater rock structure that was discovered in the mid-1980s. While some believe the ziggurat-like formation is from an ancient city, others argue that it was naturally created. I can see both. Like you can easily go both, like natural or man-made.
Right.
Because I can definitely see man-made.
Right.
But I can imagine it being natural too. Weird, but possible.
Right, it absolutely could be.
Yeah, so I think that concludes my mythical structures and civilization and lands.
Right on.
I mean, it's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, it definitely is. I know we talked about... Oh, go ahead.
No, you can continue with.
I was going to move into next topic. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think that's what I found. I'm sure there's way more than I discovered, but I didn't want to go too deep into the legends. Maybe we can make another episode where we talk in general about legends and mythical civilization and all that. But as far as the ocean goes, that's what I found.
Right. Definitely let us know if that would interest you. Yeah. So we did talk about jellyfish earlier, just briefly.
I mean the Portuguese man o' war.
Yeah. But have you heard of the immortal jellyfish?
I think I heard, but please do tell me because I might have imagined that.
Right. So there's a specific species of jellyfish, which I doubt I can pronounce the scientific name of it. Do you think you can pronounce that by any chance? Because I have no idea. This right here.
Turritopsis dorni.
Turritopsis dorni?
I don't know, dorni. Maybe we butchered it. We most
Close
likely
enough.
butchered it.
But basically, it's mostly just a normal jellyfish. Like the way it begins its life, it's a larva, grows up into a colony of polyps, which, to my understanding, is how most jellyfish start out
I
life.
actually had no idea how jellyfish start out their life.
And then within a couple weeks, it becomes a grown jellyfish. But the unique trait about this jellyfish is that whenever it receives any type of fatal damage or even starvation, it will actually revert back to a colony of polyps and then grow itself into an adult anew. It doesn't die.
I think I've heard it because scientists were trying to see if they can replicate it.
Right.
Somehow in more evolved organisms. Because we can agree that jellyfish are not particularly evolved.
Right.
Or in any way sentient, I don't think.
Yeah, I don't think they would be able to.
I mean, they don't have much organs there. It's like what? A walnut size?
Pretty much.
Organs? I mean, just blob of jelly.
Right.
I'm sure it's way more complex. I'm just making fun of it.
So the cellular process, they have a name for it. It is transdifferentiation.
It sounds vaguely familiar, actually.
Yeah, it's a lot of syllables. But basically, it's that adult cells they can become a different kind of specialized cell, which is basically going into the polyp.
Isn't it like that biological division of cells?
In a way, basically,
Almost.
it's kind of it's like recycling cells in a way.
That is so cool.
Yeah, it's wild.
It is wild.
Yeah, so
But again, I wonder when they get to that cellular stage, and when they come back, do they still change? Do they
like
become a slightly different jellyfish?
right, I don't think we have the answer to that.
It's just interesting because I feel like true immortality, or immortality, is where you're
still you.
you're still you, which is hard to say for a jellyfish because they're not sentient. They don't
Right.
really think in that. They don't think, period.
This
Well,
is-
I don't want to say they don't think, but there is no proof that they have sentience. Okay,
right.
so
It's more like
they're
a
I feel like they're a very simple organism, because
Yeah.
simple cells and simple organisms, they do have immortality like status, because they can regenerate like crazy.
right. Yeah, it's more of like an evolutionary biological cloning than it is immortality. in a way.
Yeah.
So, like we can clone a sheep.
Yeah,
Where
but
we
it will
take-
be the same ship though.
It'll
It-
be genetically the same, but it will not be mentally
I
the
don't
same.
know how much mentality we want to give. I mean,
I mean, it's
I don't want to say that they don't have any.
right.
That's not true. But like for humans, immortality is you realizing you. I think it's more mental
Mm-hmm.
than physical.
Right. Yeah.
Well, I suppose it depends what you want to consider immortality. Oh, wow, that's a very far tangent from ocean.
I mean,
But basically, there's
Immortal
physical
jellyfish.
immortality, where you keep your body
right.
in whatever state. Either you don't die, but you get old, but you just don't die,
Mhm.
or you just permanently in one specific state of being,
right.
like vampires maybe, or whatever mystical creatures you want to think about.
Mm-hmm.
Or mental, where you are reborn, if you believe in reincarnation,
But you retain
but you retain your own individual self
right. Which I think that is
of your
the
ego. Oh, that's what, like, I think they call it psychology.
right.
Ego.
Yeah. Yep. That's right. I think that's right.
Maybe
Sounds right.
I need to brush up on my psychology.
Yeah. But I think that last bit is probably what's in question in relation to how this thing
Mhm.
perpetuates itself.
Yeah.
So I kind of doubt it's the same jellyfish.
I think it's
just
cellular immortality, because you keep, like, you
yeah.
regrow. It's like the worms. If you cut the worm in half, it will turn into two separate worms.
Right. Yeah. And obviously it's not the same worm at that point because there's two of them.
Yeah.
So
And if you divide this jellyfish in two,
mhm.
we'll just like glue back together,
right.
or will it regrow separately? Then it's two separate jellyfish at that point.
By my understanding, it does not just regrow the half that is gone. It'll just basically spawn spores that become the polyps, and then it grows again. In a way, I don't know if spores is the right term, but like it's not that half the jellyfish is going to grow back. It's that it's going to revert into its infantile form with what's left, and then grow a entire new jellyfish.
So basically, it's
from
gonna like collapse and then expand again.
there. Right.
Okay.
Which is kind of like the theory of how the universe collapsed and expanded in the Big Bang. Back
Well,
to space.
in the Big Bang theory, I believe there was accumulation of some kind of chemical process infinitely small,
Mm-hmm.
and then something triggered the explosion, and boom.
Right. One of the
And
theories.
those particles went away,
right.
and then start forming things, colliding with each other, and like it was a hectic time.
Yeah. One of the theories I've heard of, like what was before the universe, was another universe that had expanded to its extent and,
And
it
it collapsed back.
contracted again. So
Well, how Stephen Hawking mentions, like, time before the Big Bang is of no essence or no
Mhm.
importance, because our time technically counts from the start of existence of our universe.
right.
Before that, if we don't, well, I think it's kind of, if I'm so sorry we're going back to space. I know we moved from ocean, but space is so fascinating. Ocean is like less mysterious than space, especially like the creation of the universe. Whatever you believe, whether it's God created the universe or scientific creation of Big Bang, either or, it's still interesting that if it was scientific and it was a universe collapsing on itself and then recreating itself, because nothing goes into nothing.
Right.
Something still goes into something. So like it's just infinitely small, and then it just.
Right.
But then what was before that universe? Was infinitely collapsing and expanding universes?
That could be the cycle for all we
But
know.
then what started it? The question is always like what started?
Yeah, right.
What was the beginning point?
Right.
Yes, okay, let's say that there were universes before ours that, collapsed and then again banged, exploded.
Right.
But what was before that? It cannot be infinite chain of, collapse.
You wouldn't think.
Explosion. I mean,
Yeah.
why? Even in physics, which actually I don't know if you know, but atomic physics and astrophysics are not really incongruent to each other.
Mm-hmm.
They are not in agreement, not in alignment. The laws of atomic or small physics do not correlate or explain astrophysics.
I feel like I've read that before, yeah.
Yep. I think I told you about it. But you probably also read about it.
Yeah.
So it's interesting that the laws work but separately and not together. So something somewhere is wrong. And it's known. It's a known fact. It's not like it's hidden.
Right. We just can't
scientists
figure out what it is.
know that those two areas of expertise do not align with each other. They don't explain each other. They don't work for each other.
Right.
So something somewhere is missing or is wrong.
Right. Hey, maybe AI can help us find that.
Oh, I don't think so. But I'm sure AI can help calculating the discrepancies.
Right.
And maybe missed facts that were forgotten over the ages and times.
Yeah.
But yeah, so basically, if this is the theory and the hypothesis that the matter cannot come from nowhere and it cannot go into nowhere, it cannot just disappear.
Right.
It's true. Then where did our matter start?
Yeah, presumably there's a starting point.
We consist of matter.
Mm-hmm.
Even our minuscule amount of matter had to come from someplace.
Yeah, it didn't just.
And I'm not talking about like Earth level. I'm talking universe level.
Right. Yep.
Whatever grain of matter exists, it had to come from someplace.
Yep. Which is where?
Bizarre. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, ocean.
We'll never know the answer to that one, I'm sure.
we won't know.
We specifically definitely never will.
No.
So.
Like the two of us. Maybe you are gonna be introduced to the secrets and beginnings and truths of the universe that you cannot share, and I am infinitely jealous and envious of the knowledge you're gonna receive.
Mm-hmm.
I wish I had. But I also believe that some knowledge is too big for our human brain.
Yeah.
That unable to. Our brain is unable to perceive or understand the just the sheer amount of knowledge that needed to comprehend the universe.
I mean, we have a hard enough time with big numbers, so.
Yeah, I mean, pi is infinite.
Right.
Theoretically.
Yeah, which is just that alone is hard to comprehend.
Yeah, so. How number cannot never finish.
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel like our brain, we can see like parts of the truth, but we cannot see a full picture just because it's so big.
Right.
I believe in that it's just very complex, and I'm sure a big brain will exist at some point that can uncover more knowledge. We're not a big brains of that caliber. We wish, I suppose. I wish.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, we're getting there.
Anything else you want to add to our discussion on ocean that we totally abandoned for like 15 minutes?
What do you mean? We've talked about the ocean the entire time.
Of course we did. No tangents whatsoever.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I guess we could.
Notes.
I do have a lot of notes. I guess we could talk about the big plastic garbage patch.
Oh yeah, how like ocean is being affected outside of melting.
Yeah, bit of a more somber topic than the rest, to be fair, but something that probably should be addressed. So most people have probably heard of the Great Pacific Garbage Patch.
Trash
So
Island.
yeah, pretty much Trash Island. It
Mm-hmm.
spans waters from the west coast of North America all the way to Japan, essentially. It's basically just a giant collection of primarily microplastics, which microplastics we're talking at like, smaller than what you're able to see.
Think about also like floss.
Yeah. Or like cellular sized even plastics. It's starts out as a larger thing and then degrades into its tiny little compounds.
But on the other hand, it's kind of nice that it's all compilated in one. It's easier to, I feel like, get rid of that way.
It really isn't.
No?
It's very, very difficult to get rid of because so much of it are these tiny little microplastics. We can't make nets that are small enough, nets or other means of collecting, scraping it, that are small enough to get it without affecting aquatic life at the same time. And then it's more than just on the surface too. It also extends down into the depths of the sea, which most people aren't aware of.
Like iceberg.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So like obviously there's larger bits of things floating around in it.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of it, half of it, I think I heard, is actually plastic fishing nets from like the fishing industry and whatnot. Because obviously, as time has gone on in civilization, fishing has only become more and more
Yeah,
prosperous.
which is another problem, by the way, overfishing
Mm-hmm.
the ocean. Like, we consume too much.
Right.
We hunt too much fish.
Yeah.
Catch too much fish.
Yeah, way too
and
much.
creatures.
Yeah.
Aquatic creatures.
Yeah, it's terrible. So
Also, we
anyways.
affect the weather a lot, which bothers the ecosystem and
Right.
the pH levels of the ocean.
Yeah.
Just by us existing and spending so much time on the shore
Mm-hmm.
by the ocean.
Not to mention this garbage patch,
Yeah.
as the plastics and whatnot dissolve into the ocean, because that's what salt does. It dissolves things.
Mhm.
Water on its own can even dissolve things over enough time. It on its own affects pH levels
Mm-hmm.
in the ocean. It affects currents,
Yeah.
which therefore goes on to affect heat
Everything
dispersion
else.
and
Yeah.
ecosystems and whatnot.
That's the
So-
climate change.
It is. Yeah, it's
Mhm.
certainly part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, the garbage patch, terrible thing to talk about.
We should have
but-
started with this, not ended, because now I have like a very sad feeling towards the end.
Yeah, that's fair.
Is there like a more lighthearted fact that you have outside of terrible? I'm not diminishing the importance of the plastic problem in the ocean, because it is terrifying.
Right.
And it's very, very sad because so many aquatic creatures are affected. Even we are like majorly affected by it. We just don't really feel it because we're not like suffocating or like ingesting plastic visually. I mean, we do,
Mm-hmm.
but we don't see it.
Microplastics are actually part of everything at this
Yeah,
point. It's
mhm.
like literally everything. You cannot hide from microplastics.
No, even like drinking water bottle is actually one of the most common one, because
Mm-hmm.
that water bottles, like the one that you buy in packs, are actually like really not good for you, because they accumulate so much microplastic in that water
Right.
that is super unhealthy for you. So
Yeah.
maybe just invest into a nice water bottle
Mm-hmm.
and use that. It will be healthier for you.
Yeah. Which I guess the point of why I wanted to make sure we touched on it is to bring up, like, what can you do? Because from what I read, the biggest way individuals can contribute to lessening the garbage patch is to not contribute to it more.
Yeah.
So,
Or you can support organizations that recycle plastic. For example, me and my mom support actually my bracelet. I don't know if you ever noticed it. Whoever watches YouTube videos, I have a bracelet that is made out of fully recycled ocean plastic,
right
and
on.
it's by the company called For Ocean. So they do sell bracelets and other little I don't want to call them souvenirs, but
Right.
recycled items.
Yeah, it's like,
Items made out of recycled plastic. They're very pretty. I really like my bracelet.
yeah, it looks nice.
Yeah, it's really nice bracelet. I
Really
bought it.
matches your sweater too.
Yeah, I know. I didn't plan that, but I chose brown because I kind of like brown. It's calm. Like it's like chocolate. You know, I want to eat my bracelet. So basically, there are different styles, and I wear it in support of the cause. And my mom really is passionate about ocean plastic.
Yeah.
I mean, getting rid of ocean plastic,
Right,
not
right, yeah.
contributing to it.
As you should be. But yeah,
So,
basically,
yeah.
like, just reduce your plastic use. Use more biodegradable things. Use permanent is probably not the right word, but don't use disposable things. Use non-disposable things whenever
Yeah.
possible. So,
And try to recycle better.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you have to use something plastic, always recycle.
Which, talking about recycle, Asia is really good about recycling
Oh, yeah.
things.
They have that down.
Like, I wish we could incorporate the recycling system of Asia
Mm-hmm.
around everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a bit tedious how they do it, but I feel like it doesn't matter.
Right, yeah.
It doesn't matter if it's tedious.
It's worth it.
I mean, yeah, we need to make sure we take care of our planet. I mean, imagine if your own living space, your bedroom, is a trash collecting
Right.
space.
You wouldn't
It's
want
not. It's
that.
not very pleasant to leave. We probably want to like clean it up,
Mm-hmm.
take the trash away. I mean,
Yeah.
take the trash out, clean up.
Yeah, it'll contribute to your quality of life, to your
Exactly.
enjoyment of life.
Psychologists actually know. Random knowledge I have. Psychologists actually know that the messy space creates messy and depressed mind,
Mm-hmm.
because the bigger the mess, the more unsettled you are subconsciously,
Right.
which creates unease. And I'm talking about an actual mess. I'm not talking about the creative,
Right.
thrown around things.
Yeah, but like if you don't do your laundry or your dishes for weeks
Yeah.
on end, like that kind of mess, right?
Yeah.
Or
Which
like let garbage build
contributes to your negative emotions.
up. Mm-hmm.
I don't want to say that mental health or depression is cured by cleaning up,
Right.
but it helps elevate that burden a little bit.
Absolutely. I
But-
certainly feel way better when I clean up my space.
Yeah,
after it's
I
been
love
terrible.
cleaning. I mean, I don't like the action of cleaning, but I
The
like
end
the
result.
outcome of cleaning. So by default, I enjoy cleaning my
Right.
space because,
Yeah.
I feel so much better, so much more light in a cleaner space.
Mm-hmm.
And it has nothing to do with the amount of clutter you have.
Right.
It can be cluttered as long as it's organized in a sense.
Yeah,
In
organized
whatever
clutter, that's the
way
thing.
you like to organize things. We don't mean like minimalistic, modern lines and like one cup on like a plate on the
Right.
table and that's it. No, we're talking about just make sure you keep your space clean, dust free, to the best of your abilities, obviously.
Right.
That's all we mean.
Yeah.
So yeah, well, I think that wraps up our fascinating conversation and tangents outside of the ocean.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It was a very deep conversation.
Deep.
A lot of depth.
Oh my god.
A very specific amount of depth.
So many puns on ocean thematics. Wow. Impressive. But I think it concludes today's topic. And remember, guys, be respectful, polite, and open-minded. We'll be there, and we will talk to you later. Bye.
Bye. And don't forget to recycle.